building bridges, and it was requested that we have two members of the choir, one sing on this side standing up and one singing on the other side, to do a round. Any volunteers? It's called
I'll be down there.
Do you mind doing it?
I will do one.
All right,
I'll do the
anybody
far
else?
side.
Lorraine's
good for
Yay! Lorraine and Ron.
Rob.
Rob. We have too many Robs and Rons.
And Max.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Pickleball, yeah. It's only been 2.5. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Yeah. And she's struggling. But yeah, decent day yesterday. I take advantage of it. Had the kids over for dinner. She's got a couple of tests coming up to see about implanting nerve stimulator in the back to try to take the pain. So she's got to go to us for another 6 years. But those are scheduled, so there's some hope at the end.
A friend of mine just had that put in.
Oh yeah?
It's been 3 weeks. And she was doing good.
Good?
You know, we took a little bit, she had some seizure. But now she's fine. We went to her class yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
She stood the whole time. And
Good, okay.
she was fine, no pain, and she went to another one.
Oh, good.
So,
I would love to share just to be able to sit in the living room for a protest. Okay. Where did you go?
Amesbury, and then afterwards she went to Maryland.
Good. A lot of them. 3,000 of them. Yes, absolutely. I'll pass it on to you guys. About anything in particular or just in general? Because the other one.
Right along the road. We don't discuss them.
It's not this stuff.
I had one lady swinging a flag, I swear it was hooked me in the
It's a beautiful album. It's a huge. It's one of those poems that actually is still resonates.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading's Sunday worship service. My name is Charlene Reynolds-Santo. I'm a member of the worship arts team, and I use she, her pronouns. We choose to share our pronouns because we know people of all genders are holy, whole, and loved. We welcome you here today as we join together to create a space where we nurture and explore individual spirituality, build a committed and loving community, and to help heal our broken world. Now, if this is your first time with us, I would like to thank you for reaching out to us. Please visit our webpage to learn more about this beloved community. There you can connect with our staff, or for those who are here in the sanctuary this morning, please feel free to speak to me or Melissa Martin in Fellowship Hall after the service. Now, today's service is being led by Valerie White. She's a member of the Unitarian Church of Sharon, Mass., and has been a UU since 1962. She's attended 21 General Assemblies, served on the boards of many UU organizations, and served on the board of the American HumanistAssociation, and was elected president of her congregation 4 times. She's admitted to practice law in Vermont and was the president of the Vermont ACLU chapter for 3 terms. Wow. Okay, welcome.
Thank you. My opening words this morning are from Danusha Lamaris, Small Kindness. I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull in their legs to let you by, or how strangers still say bless you when someone sneezes, a leftover from the bubonic plague. Don't die, we're saying. And sometimes when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and to say thank you to the person handing it, to smile at them, and for them to smile back. For the waitress to call us honey when she sets down the bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup truck to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire. Only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together when we say, here, have my seat. Go ahead, you first. I like your hat. Chalice lighting. As we light our chalice this morning with Unitarian Universalists all around the globe, I invite you to call into your heart the flame you kindle this morning, the flame of truth, of community, of commitment to love and justice. Now please join me in reciting our chalice lighting words, which can be found in your order of service. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek. Each week, you recite our children's affirmation as a reminder of the most important elements of who we are. Please join me in reciting these words. We are Unitarian Universalists, the Church of the open mind, the loving heart, and helping hands. And now please rise in body or in spirit and sing our opening hymn, which is number 38, not 39 as it says in the order of service. Morning Has Broken, my all-time favorite. Picked it.
Praise for the singing.
out? I love that.
Good morning. I invite anybody who would like to come listen to a story or see the pictures up close to come and join us. This is a book called Something Someday by Amanda Gorman, the presidential poet. You are told that this is not a problem, but you're sure there's something wrong. You are told this cannot be fixed, but you know that you can help. You are told that this is too big for you, but you've seen the tiniest things make a huge difference. You're told that this won't work, but how will you know if you ever try? You're told to sit and wait, but you know people have already waited too long. You're told that what's going on is very, very sad, but you're not just sad. You're scared and confused. You're angry. And maybe, just maybe, a little hopeful. You're told not to hope, but you keep hoping anyway. Sometimes you feel like you're all alone, but someday, somewhere, you find a friend, someone who will hope with you, who believes in your dream, someone who will fight with you. You make a promise to each other. You say, there is a problem, but it's our problem together, so we can fix it together. This problem is big, but together we are bigger. You make another friend and tell them, it's okay to be sad. And they tell you, sometimes we'll lose, but that's all right. We'll try again. And so you do, together, working, together, beginning, over and over and over. Until you're no longer beginning, you are winning. Suddenly, there's something you're sure is right, something you know you helped fix, something small that changed, something big, something that worked, something that makes you feel hopeful, happy, and loved. Something that is not a dream, but the day you live in. Something that makes you smile as you tell someone else. Instead of a question for you right now, I'm going to charge you with a task over the next week. I want you each to think about what's one small thing, small act of kindness you can do for someone or something. And I'm hoping we can report back next week. And I'm excited to hear what you guys think of doing this week. We're going to send you off to religious education through Fellowship Hall.
We take time during our service to light our candles of community, peace, and justice. We light our red candle of community to signify our interconnection. Wherever you are in time and space, newcomer or longtime member, here in the sanctuary or joining us virtually, we light this candle holding you in love. As we light this candle, I invite you to speak aloud the name or names of people who are on your mind and heart today to bring them fully into this space.
Sharon, Joe,
We light our blue candle of peace for all the places worldwide where people live with the threat or reality of war and violence. We recognize so many places around the world, Gaza, Sudan, Iran, and Ukraine, where war and violence are raging. But especially we cry out about the unjust and unconstitutional war that our country is waging against the people of Iran, and death and destruction it has brought throughout the Middle East on both sides of this conflict. And we light our yellow candle of justice. May all people everywhere live their lives in freedom, and may we each do our part in the work for justice and liberation for all in our global community. As we recommit ourselves to the work of love and justice, may we each voice this commitment by saying, Amen. If you have a joy or a sorrow you would like to honor through lighting a silent candle, you are invited to come forward now. Please allow those with limited mobility the opportunity to come up first. My reading this morning is entitled Because. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice there was things going on both sides. My apologies. My reading this morning is entitled Because by Rosemary Watola Traumer again. So I can't save the world, can't save even myself, can't wrap my arms around every frightened child, can't foster peace among nations, can't bring love to all who feel unlovable. So I practice opening my heart right here in this room and being gentle with my insufficiency. I practice walking down the street heart first. And if it is insufficient to share love, I will practice loving anyway. I want to converse about truth, about trust. I want to invite compassion into every interaction. One willing heart can't stop a war. One willing heart can't feed all the hungry. And sometimes, daunted by a task too big, I tell myself, what's the use of trying? But today, the invitation is clear. To be ridiculously courageous in love, to open the heart like a lilac in May, knowing freeze is possible, and opening anyway. To take love seriously, to give love wildly, to race up to the world as if I were a puppy, adoring and unjaded, stumbling on my own exuberance. To feel the shock of indifference, of anger, of cruelty, of fear, and stay open. To love as if it matters, as if the world depends on it.
To
let me say what an honor it was to be allowed to sing that with the choir this morning. It happens to be one of my favorite anthems, and so I said, could you use another soprano? She said yes. So let me just make sure I'm in the right place here. Yes. There are 3 things you need to know about me to make sense of this sermon. One of them is that I'm a humanist. That doesn't come as a surprise, since she told you I'd been vice president of the American Humanist Association. That I'm a sober alcoholic since 1987. And I'm polyamorous. So my parents were atheists. And when I was growing up in elementary school and middle school in the suburbs of Chicago, there were forms you had to fill out for school that had religious preference blanks. And in those days, it wasn't really safe to say you didn't believe in God, because atheist communist was one word, like damn Yankee. So I learned to spell non-denominational at a very early age. But when I got ready to go to college, I wasn't happy with that, because it made me sound like a sort of unaffiliated Christian, which I wasn't. So I asked my mother, what should I put on these college forms? And she said, well, I've been seeing these ads in the Chicago papers. Are you a Unitarian without knowing it? And it sounds to me like the Unitarians think about as much the way we do as anybody could. Why don't you put Unitarian? This despite the fact that none of us had ever set foot inside a UU congregation. So I did as she suggested, and the upshot of that was that when I got to the campus of Indiana University in the fall of 1962, I got a postcard from the Channing Club, the college youth group at the local UU congregation in Bloomington, inviting me to dinner on Sunday night when the dorms didn't serve dinner, and free food being a great inducement for college students, or anyone else for that matter. I went. And for the first time in my life, found myself in a room full of people who thought like me and weren't related to me. I wrote home with such enthusiasm about this wonderful thing that I had found that my parents went church shopping. And they landed on the Unitarian Church of Hinsdale, Illinois, where they were members for the rest of their lives. My brother, 5 years junior, went to church school at the Unitarian Church of Hinsdale and took About Your Sexuality, the precursor from OWL. My parents were delegates at the GA in Boston in 1969 during the Black Empowerment controversy. I have to say those advertising dollars were well spent. I actually considered the ministry myself for a while, but sadly, I suffer from a sort of learning disability called prosopagnosia, which means face blindness, which means that I might not recognize somebody if I didn't know them very well. I've often said at various events, when you're asked to disclose things, I say I have face blindness, so if I act like I've never seen you before, even though we had a good conversation yesterday, it's not that I don't remember the conversation, it's that I don't remember it was you I had it with. At one point, I was married to a UU minister, and I used to stand in the back of the sanctuary with him when we'd greet people coming out of the worship service, and then I would turn to him and say, "Who was that?" And he would say, "That was Mr. Jones. We had dinner at his house last night." So I didn't think it would be particularly appropriate for me to try to be a minister if I couldn't recognize my parishioners if I ran into them at the grocery store. I am, however, credentialed as a humanist minister by the American Humanist Association. Okay, so I'm a member of the Unitarian Church of Sharon, and we are, by the way, considering changing our name to long overdue add Universalist, and maybe change it from church to congregation. Partly because Sharon is a town which is something like 60% Jewish. And a lot of our members are Unitarians. And it causes them trouble. We have a lot of, Buddhists and Hindus and people like that too. But anyway, it's much easier for people to say they've joined a congregation than to say they joined a church under those circumstances. So when I first started coming to the church, it didn't have a settled minister. And there was then a program that the UUA had called Extension Ministry, where they would provide you with a minister and pay that minister for part of a 3-year period in hopes that the minister would help build up the church and then the church could support the ministry by itself. So the first person the UUA recommended to this congregation was somebody that an awful lot of people, not a majority, didn't like the feel of. He was kind of evangelical, I guess. And so at the congregational meeting, they voted not to call him because even though there was a majority willing, they didn't want to inflict him on the people who felt strongly in the negative. And I thought that was an amazing piece of community. So they didn't even know at that point that the UUA would offer them an alternate candidate. But they did. The Reverend Deborah Kayer, who was minister at our church for 12 years, left us to become senior minister at Eno River. So what's the definition of a Unitarian? It's been said that Unitarians are defined as atheists with kids. A Unitarian, and the problem is, of course, that during COVID, we lost some. And also, as the kids age out of the senior youth group, you frequently lose the parents, and they don't come back. Until Donald Trump gets elected, and then some of them came back. We have 163 members at my last count. So my partner, Ken, is an astrophysicist. And he got from NASA some moon rocks to display at his astronomy class that he was teaching at Tufts. The moon rocks come in a disk of lucite embedded, so you don't get to actually touch them, but at least you can hold them and look at them. And NASA is very picky about lending out the moon rocks because they're priceless, of course. So what they want you to do is, as long as you have them, display them as widely as possible. And when you can't have them in your personal possession, put them in the evidence locker at the local police department. So one of the things that Ken did with the moon rocks when he had them was bring them to the Unitarian Church of Sharon to show off at religious education and coffee hour. A couple named Ken and Jean, who had never been to our church before, brought their kids to church that day to see the moon rocks. They never left. In fact, Ken and Jean have invited at least 5 different families who have stayed members of the church. One of them is a woman named Rumni Saha, one of our Hindus, who has been admitted to preliminary fellowship with the UUA and will be ordained as a Unitarian Universalist minister in May. I'm so proud of her. She was a teacher before she decided to go for the ministry. We are a welcoming congregation. We fly a rainbow flag. At last count, we had 13 lesbian families. No gay men. I don't know why that is. And we have at least 5 members who have come out as transgender in my time at the church. I think we have a welcoming vibe. When I was on the worship committee, we had a member who objected to something the minister had said during a sermon that was critical of Donald Trump during his first term. He came to a worship committee meeting to complain. And we explained to him at that meeting that Unitarian Universalist congregations have freedom of the pulpit, and that if he wanted to preach and say nice things about Donald Trump, that would be his privilege as well. And do you know that man is still there? His wife is on the RE committee, their kids are in RE. So when I was on the worship committee, we were having a meeting to discuss a lay-led service that was going to be in February, close to Valentine's Day. And I said, I want to talk about polyamory. And everybody said, what's that? And so I explained, and the minister went, I'm not sure we're ready for that. And another member of the worship committee, Steve Tapper, said, I think Valerie needs to talk about this, and I think we need to listen. And the minister went, you're right, she said. And so what we ended up with was a sermon split in 3 parts. The minister talked about her experiences doing what were then called holy unions when she was an intern on Cape Cod. And a man named Marshall Miller, who with his partner Dorian Zolot, founded the Alternatives to Marriage Project, an organization to support people in their decision not to get legally married in solidarity with their gay and lesbian brothers and sisters who couldn't get married. That is now called unmarried equality. Marshall talked about that. And I talked about polyamory and introduced my partners in the front pew. No one refused to shake my hand after the worship service, and as you've already heard, the congregation later elected me as president 4 different times. Like you, we had for a long time, before we started a family service, a time for all ages. And the minister at that time, Jim Robinson, who was wonderful, did a little puppet show with stuffed animals talking about what makes a family. And he said, with his demonstrating puppets, that a family could be a grandparent raising a grandchild. A family could be 2 moms and a dog and a picket fence and a kid. Or a family could be a husband and wife and 2 kids. Or, he said, a family could be 2 moms and a dad and an electric car. Guess whose family that is? So I have never felt so held or so seen as I was in that moment. So I am also out about my sobriety, as you will have gathered. I was writing for a number of years a column for the newsletter of Secular Organizations for Sobriety, a non-higher power peer support group for recovery. And one day at church, I should say that during one of my columns, I mentioned that I was a member of the Unitarian Church of Sharon. So one day after choir practice, somebody came up to me and said, "Someone's looking for you upstairs." So I went up into the sanctuary to find out what it was about, and there was this guy that I didn't know, Jim, his name was, who had read my column in the SOS newsletter. He lived in the neighboring town of Foxborough, and decided to come to the Unitarian Church of Sharon to see if he could find me. Well, later on, when I was president, the guy who was the chair of the Buildings and Grounds Committee was elected to the Board of Trustees and had to resign as a member of the Buildings and Grounds Committee. And so, as president, it was my job to replace him. And this guy, Jim, who had kept coming to church, had seemed to be sort of a handy kind of a guy. So I asked him, "Jim, will you chair the Buildings and Grounds Committee?" And he said yes. But then he said, "I guess I better join, huh?" He did, and later was elected president of the congregation. An example of how reaching out can help. I've noticed a lot lately, I'm on Facebook quite a bit, and there's a number of sobriety supporting pages, right? And I've been noticing lately that a lot of times when somebody posts, "I have 100 days sober today," or "I have 12 years sober today," or whatever it is, that they often start these posts with, "Probably nobody cares," or "I don't know if anybody cares." And I think that's kind of sad. And I always post on those. Of course we care, that's why we're here. But we need, I think, we need that kind of reaching out. Because if people don't know that there's a possibility of getting clean and sober by seeing people who claim it, how do they know it's possible? For example, I was defending a man in a custody case, and one of the potential witnesses was a woman friend of his who was going to testify that he was a good father and should be allowed frequent contact with his children. And after I'd finished prepping her, making sure she understood what things she needed to remember to say and how to respond to cross-examination and all the other things that lawyers do when they have witnesses, she said, "I want to tell you something." I said, "Sure." She said, "You saved my life." I didn't know her. And I was flabbergasted. And she explained. She was a student at Vermont Law School. She had a dream, a goal of being admitted to practice law. She knew, an alcohol problem. She was terrified that if anyone found out about her alcohol problem, she would never be allowed to practice law. So she was at the office of her mentor, waiting to see him, when his wife walked in, who was the assistant district attorney in the town where I practiced. So this young woman was looking very, very low, very sad, and my friend, the district attorney, said to her, "What's the matter?" And she broke down and confessed that she was terrified she wasn't going to be able to achieve her dream if anybody found out about her problem. So my friend took her across the street and bought her a cup of tea and told her about me, that I was a sober alcoholic and that everyone knew that. And apparently that's what she thought saved her life. I'll never forget it. I had a somewhat similar experience when I was on a call, this is before Zoom, a group call that had to do with secular sobriety. And somehow, offhandedly, somebody said, well, everyone knows that monogamy is the best way. And I said, well, there are hundreds of thousands of people in this country who are practicing ethical non-monogamy, polyamory. And I left it at that. I got an email from another person who'd been on the call a day or so later saying, I think you saved my life. I thought I was the only one. I didn't know there was even a word for it. But I've looked it up online and I feel redeemed. So, I'm going to give you one more example of a time when reaching out matters. We had an event in the evening, a dinner, which was the kickoff of our annual pledge campaign. And at the tables, we were supposed to be conversing about what the church means to us and what's good about it and what needs fixing and so forth. And Linda Godfrey Bailey said, every year that we don't do something about accessibility is a year we have decided to discriminate. It is a justice issue. And that just pierced me. Now, I won't say that I was so bad that I would have said, well, we don't have anybody in wheelchairs anyway. Of course they don't come. There's stairs. It's a New England meeting house. And I said to Linda, would you chair the task force on accessibility? She said, well, I'd co-chair one anyway. So 10 years ago, we finished our addition and our elevator and our accessible new entrance, and we now have RE classrooms, 3, a library, an administrative office, the minister's study, the RE director's office, and it's wonderful. We're about to start, and we have already hired an architect and consulted with the congregation about working on the sanctuary, fixing the sagging tin ceiling, putting more insulation in the walls, having windows that aren't single pane, even though most of us love those squiggly, they're not stained, they're plain. Anyway, we're about to kick off a campaign for that. Okay, so you've heard many examples from my life experiences as a UU, a polyamory activist, and a person in recovery. Many examples of the benefits of reaching out. I have offered some of them to you in the hopes that your experience may be similar, both for the benefit of this beloved community and for any other causes you might support. Blessed be.
Each Sunday, UUCR gives away half the money received in the collection plate to a nonprofit organization that shares our UU values. This is a simple yet powerful way for each of us to help heal this world. Our Share the Plate recipient for this month, the month of March, is UUCR We Care Fund. This fund provides emergency financial assistance to individuals and families within our congregation and the wider community who are facing unforeseen financial hardship. These funds are used to meet immediate and essential needs, such as housing, utilities, food, and medical expenses, so that dignity, stability, and hope can be preserved in this time of crisis. At the moment, the need for the We Care Fund is especially acute due to recent federal funding cuts by the present administration. Our congregation thrives and survives through the gifts of those who call this place their spiritual home. If you're here with us in the sanctuary, you may put a gift in the plate as it goes by. Otherwise, you may make a gift online or mail in a check. Please give as generously as you are willing and able to support the UUCR Care Fund and the mission of UUCR. Now, if this is your first time with us, your presence is a gift enough.
When the dark whispered before me, and all the paths were overgrown, when the priests of pride say there is no other way, I till the sorrows of stone. I did not believe because I could not see, though you came to me in the night. When the dawn seemed forever lost, I showed your love in the light of the stars. Cast your eyes on the ocean, cast your soul to the sea. When the dark night seems endless, please remember me. Then the mountain rose before me, deep wealth of a desire. From the fountain of forgiveness, beyond the ice and the fire. Cast your eyes on the ocean, cast your soul to the sea. When the dark night seems endless, please remember me. Share this humble path alone. How fragile is the heart. Oh, give these clay feet wings to fly, to touch the set of the stars. Breathe life into this feeble heart. Lift this mortal veil of fear. Take this crumbled hopes etched with tears and rise above these earthly cares. Cast your eyes on the ocean, cast your soul to the sea. When the dark night seems endless, please remember me. 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 Please remember me.
Thank you so much, Barbara. That was beautiful. And thank you, Valerie, for being with us today. What a delightful service. Good morning. My name is Melissa Martin, and I am your Member Services and Volunteer Coordinator. My pronouns are she and her. Did you hear our youth are taking over the blueprints in 2 weeks for our service on April 12th? The theme is Embracing Possibility, and we need a crew of children of all ages to participate. Parents, please help your kids sign up by this Wednesday, April 1st. To everyone here and those at home, our youth have requested you bring a pillow or a small comfort item with you that in the morning. Could be a healing shawl or a small mini pillow that will make your back feel comfy. Anything that is going to make you feel comfortable as we're breaking our Sunday scaries together in a cozy service. We're going to follow that with our Beltane book drive finish, and we're going to plant those seeds that we've been collecting for our garden beds during our spring cleanup immediately after service. So please join us. Did you know that there are only 12 Sundays left of our regular church year? We have radically simplified our volunteer roles to make it easy for us to have a strong finish. If you have always wanted to host a social hour or to bring the gift of beauty to the chancel just once, we need you. Ushers are an integral part of our mission and an easy way to get to know others. So check the newsletter for your link to sign up and claim your Sunday. This Holy Week, we are praying with our feet. Join the Reading Clergy Association for a Good Friday prayer walk starting right here at UUCR at noon. It'll happen this Friday, right outside of church, for a 1-mile walk along Woburn Street, stopping at various churches along the way. Or you're invited to join us for a 3 p.m. witness and prayer service at the Burlington Ice Facility. We'll stand in peaceful solidarity for human dignity, and those details are also in the newsletter. Next Sunday is Easter and our egg hunt. Adults and teens who are able to help us fill some Easter eggs will happen this Friday at 4:30 in Sawyer House. And finally, as we transition from worship to fellowship today, we recognize that this Tuesday is Transgender Day of Visibility. In this congregation, visibility means more than just being seen. It means being protected and honored in every season of life. This is why I invite everyone into Fellowship Hall for the Gift of Clarity Resource Fair. For our trans and non-binary siblings, these documents are also an act of justice, ensuring that your chosen name, your pronouns, and your identity, along with your wishes, are the only things spoken for in a room of care. We have a path of principles with stations to help you define your medical and spiritual non-negotiables. For those short on time, please stroll through at your own pace and take any resources you wish home with you. Grab a treat and some resources. Help the kids become care detectives with their junior passports. The sanctuary will be open for you And a link will go out this afternoon for a 15-minute film called Honoring Choices. Our circles of care are available to you as you navigate this path today and beyond. Let's replace what ifs with peace. I'll see you in Fellowship Hall. And now, please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 1023, Building Bridges.
Folks, and the choir is going to help. Only two parts, 1 and 2.
I'll play it through once, and then we'll play it through again, and you can sing, and then we'll go into the round.
Please join in the chalice extinguishing words that can be found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I didn't even see the slender red salamander curled in the middle of the country road, but Brad stopped to kneel beside it and told us if you pick them up by the tail, they will lose their tail and attempt to distract a predator, while the rest of the body escapes. So tenderly, he brushed the small amphibian into his open palm, then gently placed it intact in the wet grass beside the road. If this day were a novel, I'd say the morning walk was foreshadowing. Every day, everywhere we went, there were hands that opened in kindness to greet, to serve cake, to hug, to wave, as if everyone agreed it matters the way we treat each other. How quickly we can fall apart when threatened, how easily sometimes we are saved. Now I suggest we all sit down while we enjoy the postlude.
Thank